We're so glad to have with us tonight Engineer Akech from the National Construction Authority. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Good.
And I'm happy to be here tonight.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Let's get straight into it. Your position on the demolitions we've seen recently. NEMA has been in the spotlight quite a bit, but the Chief Regulatory Authority in Construction, NCA, has been silent. What's your position on Southend, on Westgate Mall, the parking area at the UK as well?
Yvonne, as you've rightfully taken the viewers through, the process is very accurate and very right. And as you have seen, we come National Construction Authority, being the overseer of the construction industry and the coordinator. You see, we come at the tail end. And ours is to ensure that you've complied with all the regulatory requirements. And that's why what we issue is called a compliance certificate. This means that you've complied with all the requirements. And at that point, now you can proceed and go ahead with the setting up of the property or the facility.
So were these properties passed by NCA, the South End Mall? You know, what's happening with Westgate and the parking area and the UK and a number of others that we've seen being mentioned in the press?
Well, based on the licensing or the documentary evidence we receive from other partner agencies, government partner agencies, this is what we actually use to be able to issue a compliance certificate. And on the basis of that, of course, we give the developer the compliance certificate so that they're able to proceed. Remember, in addition, apart from those other certificates that are licensing various ways in which you can come with the project, what we do is that we ensure that now there's a contractor that's also licensed by us to do the job. There's a accredited construction worker, and then we also have all the safety standards ensured. So what that means is that we've guaranteed that the necessary regulatory compliances have been issued, licenses. So what we give is based on those licenses issued. And
were that was issued to all of these properties that have been mentioned?
Well, I can confirm some of them, yes, issued, and some of them, of course, are not compliant. Not all projects are compliant.
Which ones were compliant and which ones were not? Can you tell us?
I know this issue of the South End, which is, of course, the main topic happening now, is an issue that is being addressed through a government multi-agency, which includes all the regulatory agencies in the construction space, and it is being handled in a way that it's checking all the relevant licenses that are required and whether they have met those requirements or not. Of course, you've seen the head of state has given a directive today, and what that means is that some of these licenses may have been acquired through other means.
Okay, so engineer, the president is, you know, breathing fire tonight over this issue. Yes. DPP is saying they're looking into it. Yeah. Who do we hold responsible? Should it be the NCA? You say you come at the tail end, but do you not make sure that all of the certifications have been met before giving a compliance certificate for a building to, you know, come under construction? Should we hold NCA responsible?
Let me say this. Sometimes when you do things, you do them on the basis of documentary evidence. And you also do what we call due diligence to be able to check the accuracy of those documents. Once all that is done, all you need to do is just do your work and ensure you provide the necessary documentation to make the developer proceed.
But yet buildings are coming down. So if you're doing your due diligence, who should be held responsible? Because that is certainly going to be taxpayers' money. Should we look at compensation?
Let me say this. You see, the person at the center of all this is actually the developer, in my view. Because if I'm a developer today, I would want to be sure that I am in compliance with all the required laws so that at the end of the day, I'm not caught on the wrong side.
But surely, as the Chief Regulatory Authority in construction, is it not shirking responsibility when you say it is up to the developer? So if it is up to the developer, why do we have the National Construction Agency?
3 things we do. 1, the reason why we are there is to help the developer secure the investment. And that's why we ask you to bring the necessary document, that even you're convinced in your own mind and in your own right senses that they're accurate. 2, we also secure the safety of the would-be occupants. Once they occupy the buildings, what we want to be sure as a regulator is that those buildings will be safe for their use, will be comfortable, and also will not have issues to do with the health and safety. The third thing is that, remember, there will be general public that will be passing around those buildings. Right. We also ensure that their safety, as far as that building is concerned, is also guaranteed.
Okay, so NEMA today said they've disowned these recent demolitions. They said it's the Nairobi Regeneration Team. You today are saying, well, you know, it's the developer and they're the ones to do due diligence. But there's a third party that's involved here, people who are in these buildings, who are tenants. You're saying you do your due diligence, it should be the developer. Where does this leave the Kenyan who becomes an innocent victim? It's not your fault, it's not NEMA's fault, it's nobody's fault. Whose fault is it? I mean, somebody must take responsibility. The buck must stop somewhere. Is that not your organization?
I would say it is a collective responsibility of all the organizations that are involved in putting up and ensuring compliance with the laws. That's how I would look at it. And that's why it's a collaborative effort, and that's why everyone needs to do their part, so that at the end of the day, everything goes smoothly. Yes.
Thank you. Engineer Maurice Akechus from the National Construction Authority today, saying it is collective responsibility. At least we have something from you on that. Thank you very much, and clarity on what Kenyans need to do. Engineer, we thank you for your time.